Hello there. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and I am welcoming you to a special edition of Paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson. I have I'm wearing my Wicked Winches Christmas t-shirt. Hello, girls. And I'm so excited because wait till you get a load of my guests tonight. So I have recruited Lori Dorsey to come back, and we're going to talk about haunted Christmas ghost stories. And we've both learned so much so fast about this topic. And I'm going to give a shout out because my friends at Haunted Scotland, specifically Ryan O'Neill, had a great story on their page. However, they just tease you and tease you and tease you, and you never know what's happening until you get to the end, and there's no end of the story. So, Ryan O'Neill, I'm calling you out. And I do the subscriber page. So, it's just kind of like, well, okay, I'm going to have to find out the end of that story. And I'm going to bring Lori Dorsey in because she too knows Ryan and she too can chastise him. I'm just kidding. Anyway, this is my friend, my bestie, my travel buddy, my ride or die, Lori Dorsey. So, hello. You're so festive.
I'm trying to be.
I know, right?
Yes.
And I'm so glad to see you face to face because, we don't always FaceTime. We just, one of us is driving or the other one's doing something. So it's just voice to voice.
Yeah.
And we live so far apart that we don't get to be face to face very often unless we're in a different country or in the middle of Atlanta airport where you're being assaulted. So it's really kind of fun.
It all works.
And, just so people know, we were gate to gate. We were one gate apart our first trip to Scotland. And that doesn't happen at Atlanta Hartsfield. Usually you're going to find and she was not going straight to Edinburgh. She was going to JFK and going.
Mm-hmm.
So the odds of us even being in the same terminal were none. And I texted her and I'm like, so where are you? And she's like, I'm at gate 14. I was like, I'm at 15. I'll be right there. So I ran, which I should never do. And smack down we went in the middle of the waiting area of her gate.
Yes.
And so people have harassed us about that. But you know what? I could take somebody out. I'd be a good linebacker. But Lori will attest to that.
Yes, I will.
I'm going to have to do that one of these days with one of the little shark suits running down with the sign. Hello. Welcome.
We get the one.
Yeah. Well, and then we'd be able to get good video of you running the other way. Preserve yourself. So, I am just so excited because I am Christmas at my house. My husband loves gifting and he loves being really thoughtful with gifting and, but when it's time to bring the tree up and I'm like, honey, and he's like, is there someone else here? No, there's not. But in all honesty, hello, Mark. It's so funny because, the Christmas spirit is so strong. And Mark is from Swanton, Ohio, Lori.
Oh, okay.
So Lori is from Bellefontaine?
Bellefontaine.
Well, it should be Fontaine. But so we welcome you. And I am really excited to be able to do Christmas spirit here on the show because, there's so much. There's so much you can do. There's so much, he says the big city. So, I found a couple of these stories have different histories behind them. And we're going to save the most famous one for the end.
Okay.
And I haven't told you what that is yet, but just follow my lead. I do. And I follow yours too. And that's why we usually wind up lost. Actually, I'm the one with the sense of direction.
Yes.
You're the one with the enthusiasm.
I am the one that has
Squirrel.
challenged.
That's why we call her Squirrel.
Hmm.
A genuine nickname for Lori Dorsey.
Yep.
So
Very
that
easy distracted.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
I have ADD. That should really be me. So the fact that you're worse than me should really upset you.
I just roll with it.
We just always get there.
Hmm.
And really and truly, I'm not very directionally challenged. I'm pretty good, um, especially if I've been there once.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's a false sense of security because this was my second trip to Edinburgh. I
Hmm.
knew where the night store was, but didn't have the nights. If you wanted a 40 buck night to take home and try to get through customs, then that was your place. But that's why when I ordered them, I had them shipped. It worked out great.
Hmm. It was
But
good. We figured it out.
always,
Hmm.
that's what we do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And it's funny that we have different things that set us off, right?
Goodness for that.
Because it balances. And that's what life is all about. And that's what the Christmas season is all about too, because people let themselves get so tangled up.
Hmm.
And, you know, David asked me going to bed because we have birthday parties this weekend. My daughter was so kind as to have both of her children within days apart in December when she also has a birthday. So we are having a everybody party Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I'm actually very excited because,
Yeah.
kids. But it's really fun. I,
Yeah.
however, had one on my birthday, so that's just a whole nother world. So I think that people get so caught up in the Yule spirit that there's not really they don't remember that there are ghosts in these stories, right?
Yeah.
And do you
Tracing
want to
back. Yeah. Tracing it back. I, when you brought it up to me this afternoon, what you wanted to talk about, I really was not familiar how far back it went,
I
the
know
whole thing. And it went back to the Celtics. I mean, way back,
way back.
way back.
Was this as far back as when they were fighting the Vikings because
Yeah,
they're badasses and did that?
yeah.
Or is this earlier?
No,
I mean,
no.
later.
It was during what they call the Yule season, or when the went from fall to winter.
When they brought the tree in to burn.
Hmm. And yeah, and then it seemed to come to the forefront during the Victorian age. They
Yes.
they really brought the stories that
They
were
got down with their funky selves in the Victorian age. They were some weird people with
man.
some weird ideas
Hmm.
and stories.
Yeah, and stories. The stories were definitely odd. Um, they were they what I read on the history was that it was all by mouth, word of mouth. The stories came, and so the Victorian age they wrote everything down.
Hmm.
Everything was put into print,
Yes.
so the stories could be told. You know, for the masses. Could learn all the stories about the the Christmas ghosts, I guess is the best way.
Yeah. Well, really, that's when everything started being written in such detail. I mean,
Mhm.
historically, there were documents and treaties and
Mhm.
articles of different things and such, but there were newspapers. There were print newspapers, and so they were able to you know journal and send it out and journal and send it out, and that's when
Mhm.
things hit wide open. But I really like the word of mouth ones because they change so much.
Yeah, and that's why they ended up doing the print, since
Hmm.
they invented the printing press type stuff back in the Victorian age.
Hmm.
Just started printing everything, and it was given to the masses. so they could read, or tell the story, you know,
Yeah.
uniformly. I don't know. So the story would stay the same. But the one side note that I was reading on it was that a lot of them, the ghost stories, were to scare the crap out of the kids, so they would listen to
Yeah.
do what they were supposed to do.
Well,
Trouble.
while we have been having this conversation, all of my stuff is dying all of a sudden.
Uh-oh.
So I don't really have any idea what's happening with that, but there's a lot of background noise here. Y'all just enjoy that. Talk amongst yourselves. We're just kind of hanging out here. This is a new computer, so I have to get it over to the other side. You know what? I do not understand, and I do know that this is a paranormal show. I've guested on paranormal shows. I have been, involved in paranormal shows for over 10 years now.
Yes.
It never fails to stun me with the things that happen. And I do have a haunted house, although my husband would probably argue that. But he knows it's true. He just doesn't like to admit it. But engineering mind. But it's really funny. We should be fine now. One will hope.
Let's hope.
But if not, I've got backup because I do have this happen. So, but one of the things that really surprises me is the fact that these people went to such lengths to scare the bejesus out of each other, for one thing.
Oh, no.
Another is that when you started talking to me about what you were finding, and I'm like, well, yeah, because the Celts were bloody. They were bloody minded. And sometimes it's really surprising that any of them lived through that. I mean, the ones that did are bad to the bone. And they'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll tell you who their clan leaders were that got them up there in these positions. And, it's really interesting when you start talking to somebody whose family has a history in masonry. And they all have their marks and they all have their this, that, and the other. And it took me about 2 conversations before I realized that we were talking about other kinds of masons too. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So were you shocked by the stories you were finding?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's heard, like Charles Dickens, and they've remade that. I don't know how many, like Scrooged, and there's all of those.
Because it never fails to chill.
Yes.
I mean, it is one of the most chilling stories of all time but it's got a great
premise. I mean,
there's a great moral to that story.
Yes. It's you become what you put out there, and you can change. You can change your future if you want to.
If you do it while you still have one.
Yes. While you're still able to.
Yeah.
And, to be kind-hearted and to love and to care about other, people and not just yourself. That's, like the old moral of the story type thing.
Yeah. Face-ops.
Yeah.
All the way back there.
Yeah. And, like I said, it's scaring the living daylights out of the kids, like Krampus, like if you're not a good child, Santa isn't going to get you, but Krampus will come and get you and beat you and eat you, like that. And I'm thinking, wow,
a little intense.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I mean, I used to threaten my kids, but man, I wouldn't do that.
Only because By the time we came along, there were family and children's services.
Back in
I'm kidding, people. Erin, my son, don't dare put yourself up in there. But it is a really funny thing
hmm
when the premise of why there is Christmas
hmm
is scary,
hmm
okay?
hmm
But that's not how Christmas started. Christmas started with, you know, not about Christ, but about the seasons changing
hmm
and about the you needed to just put everything to bed. Everything was calm. You couldn't plant. You couldn't really hunt if it got bad, especially up in the northern regions.
hmm
And, it was definitely more heathenistic.
hmm
And I think that's fun
hmm Well, like I said,
because,
it was based a lot of it from, this, like you said, the season change. That's, you're going from fall to winter, and that's when your fall is when you get ready for the winter. You gather and you stock up and you get everything ready to go. And then, when winter sets in, you have supplies, you have everything you need for the Yule season, they call it.
mhm.
And, then it, parlayed into, the St. Nicholas, bringing, gifts to the children. You
He
know,
didn't start out bringing gifts.
no,
He started out taking them.
yeah,
I mean, he was not user friendly to start with, right?
right. And that's when, they have the Krampus, you know, it's like, I'm just amazed that, you know, all over the world, there's a form of Saint Nicholas. There's a form of in each, Germany, France, they all have their form of, you know, developed Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus or
And of course, that's all just coincidence.
yeah, sure,
No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at heart. Not at all.
no,
So, but this is a rather harmless one. I mean, seriously, because you know there wasn't travel then like there is now. Like in 8 hours, we can be in Edinburgh,
right,
right?
right,
Well, in 8 months, they could travel, you know, a little ways because they would have to take animals, they would have to take food, they would have to,
hmm
because there weren't restaurants and McDonald's sitting around. And I don't count McDonald's as a restaurant, just so anybody thinking about taking me out, David, would ever do that. But, it's just one of those things that they did not have the communication ability really for that to have been so widespread.
hmm
And yet it was everywhere, as you said.
hmm
What
yeah.
else did you find?
Um, that's that's all I found as far as the history goes. I mean, it's just, I was curious to see how far back it went, and that's when I went, wow, back in
What was the oldest time period?
um, it was probably I think around the 1200s. It might have been before that, but 1200s was seemed like the time period of the Celtics that were recognizing Yule season, because it was after, you know, the Halloween season. You know,
Mhm.
the I can't think of the name of the what they called it.
It'll come back.
Yeah, so, no, not really. Uh, it was the Halloween season. They was starts with an S, But
Oh, um,
yeah, it was in
that's
Ireland.
the voodoo name. I'm not.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we'll
Sa-
find it.
Sabin or Sab, I don't know. But anyway, after that season, then the Yule season came in. Is
Mhm.
yeah, the rain. Like I said, I was skimming a lot of information very quickly.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was doing too. But because I really thought we'd go with some more evidence
Mm,
because we still had so much more to do. And we are going to do another evidence show because now I know how to do the videos up there and stuff. Carl is such a good teacher
mm-hmm,
that we'll be ready for that.
mm-hmm.
But I thought we did pretty good though.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
if you missed that, that was a really good show. It's called Haunting Evidence and it's in our archives. So
Mm-hmm,
feel free to grab that and check it out. It was awesome. But Lori and I have investigated together a lot over the years.
mm-hmm.
So a lot of our evidence was with each other. Not
Yeah.
all, but a lot of it. So that made it kind of fun,
Oh yeah,
I thought.
that was always good.
So
I recognized when you posted. I thought, oh, I remember that.
yeah.
I remember.
Well, because we had a lot of stuff happen in different places. Moon River, which is closed. Did you know they closed?
Yeah,
But
that made me sad.
it
That
made
was
me sad too, but that's whoever buys that have investigations. You
yeah.
would not even need your liquor license if you let people come and investigate there, although we would appreciate if you kept it. But still, at least for ciders.
Yeah.
But got to push my ciders for my bestie there. But I cannot remember the name of that season. It's going to drive me crazy.
It's not coming to me. And
No,
my age,
I may Google that here in a minute.
it's gone away.
Away to the nether regions.
But yes, it's kind
Yeah.
of went off.
Well, a lot of times, we were talking about these haunted ghost stories that were of the periods and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And, I mentioned to you that I was finding a lot. I mean, you could tell they were Victorian because they were always trying to keep you from having any kind of fun.
Yeah.
And definitely don't get a smooch because you'll wind up locked in some sort of cabinet
Hmm.
and nobody will save you
Right.
because you can't get out because they're so heavy you can't lift the top. I'm
Yes.
not smooching anybody if that's going to be my demise. No.
No.
So, but, and there's a lot of stories of that, a lot of different variations on that storyline.
Hmm.
And, you know, I really liked the Scrooge effect more than I liked the
Hmm.
don't you dare lose it before you get married and don't even let him kiss you or he will not marry you.
Hmm.
I mean, you'd be lucky to kiss me. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I would not have that attitude.
Yeah.
But I would not go quietly into that dark night, right? Not for that.
Not for that. No,
But
not
did
working.
you you know, I am so amazed by just I'm going to use the term, I might insult some people, but I doubt it. The ones that would be listening and care would know better. But some of this stuff is so barbaric,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, after going through Scotland, going through some of the castles, hearing the history
Hmm.
of everything, and I did read a history of Bannockburn that did not have the same ending as the history books do. So
Oh,
I found that really interesting.
yeah.
Bannockburn, for those who don't know, is where we got to investigate when we were in Scotland this year, and Lori murdered someone there. And so they remembered her because she always says, "Do you recognize my energy?"
Hmm.
They did.
They did. Right.
They did. You look like you have exclamation points. That's what I was looking for. Because it's like, yes, they did. So I love it. They're so cute. And me and my boring old Santa earrings. But I do have a flamingo that's Christmassy.
That's okay. Well,
I like my Christmas flamingo.
I have Christmas trees.
You do. And yours are sparkly too.
Yes.
I love it. We are so festive, y'all. I mean, hello.
Hello.
But I have been fighting the crowds today. I would have been your worst nightmare if I came in your store today.
Yes.
If you were there.
I
But
was, yeah, I went straight in and got what I needed and got out. I
yeah,
didn't to browse. I knew exactly what I needed.
there you go.
Hmm.
And I think that I'm going I'm going to have to put my glasses on because I am going to read part of this because the details are
Okay.
pretty interesting. But this was by Alfred McClellan Barrage, and he was he's known for his work in horror and early young adult fiction.
Oh,
Okay, and he was in the first half of the 20th century,
no.
so he's fairly current for that genre.
Mm-hmm.
But and so his critically acclaimed short story collection, Someone in the Room, it's a spooky tale of a Christmas Eve gone south. It's been a classic for lovers of the holiday ghost story and is still very much read to this day.
Oh,
Do you want me to read it?
yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. But it's the format of a frame story, telling of a young boy on Christmas Eve who, you well, he should have. So, it says on a past Christmas Eve, the boy had been playing a game of Smee or hide and seek with 11 of his best friends, taking turns hiding within an enormous old house known for its mysterious past and haunted reputation.
Mm.
And so, though the game starts with 12, they eventually realize that there are 13 of them as they're going through these winding corridors and endless rooms. Sounds like some places we saw, doesn't it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so they've got this third player. And it says a young girl, tall and dark, is eager to take part in the fun, but no one seems to know where she came from. And then they tease and like, we have no interest in spoiling the fun. But needless to say, the game continues on with much more of the girl's past slowly being revealed until the story reaches the likely and gripping conclusion that is sure to please. And I mean, this guy was creating spirits in his stories
Yeah.
who obviously died a tragic death in that house
Mm-hmm.
and more than likely was stuck in a cupboard because that seems to be what, or in just a box. And I feel like some of these may have been like the Laird's casket that was just created and was there,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for its need to arise or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, thank you. That is so cool. But it's so fun because, you know, it's like this thing says, um, as far as ghost stories go, you may not be really impressed with the creativeness of this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's 100-year-old premise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's almost 200 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
That these prudes, these absolute prudes of the Victorian era, were
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, well, we're just going to talk about demons and ghosts. We're going
Yes.
to use that to control you because otherwise you're just going to be a horrible person without some sort of thing on you.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is just like,
Yeah, it's a control thing.
yeah, it's like, bump that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
And you scare the living daylights out of kids, and so you control them. Well, some
um,
kids,
some kids,
not all.
that was really, yeah, my main problem was that I grew up as a show me or as a hope my drink and watch this. That may still be, in play sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, you're talking about the Celtic regions
Mm-hmm.
and how this had spread all over. Did you find anything indicative of how it kept spreading.
No, I didn't go that far in depth as far as how that went. I just wondered how far back the Yule season, what they
Hmm.
consider the Yule season, went. And I was thinking Victorian age, and then I kept reading and I said, no, I want to get clear back to the Celtic. And it wasn't a celebration of like Christmas. It was just the change of the season.
Yeah,
But it stems from that. Then, as the years go on, you know, it developed, grew grew into what it is, I guess, what it is today. But they traced
yeah.
back to that point, you know. Like I said, I was skimming through a lot of stuff that you
As
want
I
to
give you all
look
the
at.
bad stuff, right? Sorry.
Yeah, I was reading through books and Google stuff, and I was trying to get some kind of background on it because, when I think of ghost stories at Christmas time, Charles Dickens is the one that comes to mind.
It's the biggest one.
Yeah, I mean that's the only one I could think of. And then, what is that one poem on Dancer on Dasher on,
Prancer and Vixen. I
yeah,
comment on Cupid. Yeah.
yeah, Honor and Blitzen. But those are the things that I remember. Those are the things that when you talk about ghost stories, you know, he was a jolly old elf, and it really wasn't a ghost. The ghost story came from Charles Dickens. For me,
Hmm.
when I think of Christmas ghost stories, that's what I think of. And the the traces to go back, I guess I didn't read it that close to see when it started to, like blossom into what we've got now.
Yeah.
I didn't check that far back. But
Well, it would be hard to, I think,
mhm,
because I was coming at it from kind of the other end of the spectrum.
mhm,
From here going back toward the Victorian, because when I started researching these, I was looking at them last week.
mhm,
Um, and so I've been playing with these for that long. But it just amazes me how how the same, basically the same.
mhm.
It's the gifting, and it's not all murder and mayhem and people
Oh,
getting lost in houses and whatever, but it is it is the love of each other, like as an example of seasons that matter in Scotland at the end of the summer,
mhm,
you know, everything there basically shuts in September
yeah,
when the snow flies.
mhm,
And so after all this time, the town that we're going to, Croy,
mhm.
so that town had hunt balls, and when we were at Salutations, the hotel that we stayed in Paris, they had pictures. Remember, I was stopping and looking at the pictures of the hunt
Yeah,
ball by the elevators?
yeah, mhm,
And so to me, that was what I valued in that culture. I thought that was so cool
mhm,
because September is when everybody's getting ready to shut down for the season.
mhm,
They're not going to have easy transportation back and forth. You know,
mhm.
um, you have to be hardy to be Scottish,
Yeah,
and they are.
they are.
But, so they have, like at the end of September, they'll have balls,
Mhm,
and that's their way of getting ready to go basically into hibernation. And, the mail may get through, you know, but you can get down into Aberdeen and all this other stuff, Aberdeenshire. And it's just really
mhm.
so different.
Oh yeah, compared to here.
And, you know, I think that probably Christmas, with it being the break between September and the sun coming back, you know, it was it was important. Maybe
Mhm.
because of that, because you couldn't plant, you couldn't,
Yeah,
break ground.
no.
Um, It was just interesting to me. I find stuff like that just so historic.
And it's interesting how the different cultures took took coming onto the winter season on. I mean, about the hunter and gathering and getting things ready to go for the season that's coming, that they're facing with the snow and the nasty nasty weather. And they I guess, to me, I would think it would have to be some they would have to have some form of entertainment. And I think the Christmas kind of developed from that, maybe,
Hmm.
to show, I don't know if you would call it entertainment, but
I think it's a, I think it's as good a word as any.
yeah, to make it through something, to make it through that, because it's harsh. I mean, really, it's very, very harsh time of year. You know, it isn't like it is now. I mean,
Well,
put your
it's
snow tires on and go. But
well,
back,
but when we were in Scotland, and that's my point of reference, okay, for European living.
mm-hmm,
But that is, there were places that were difficult to get to in the summer,
mm-hmm,
right?
yep,
So I feel like, and I mean, up around you, y'all manage,
mm-hmm, oh
but
yeah,
they're way above you,
yeah. Well,
and
city area, holy mackerel, that's rough.
well, I have a friend actually who lives in Newfoundland,
Mm.
and she made a point of letting me know that there is a flight from Newfoundland to Ireland if we want to go through Newfoundland to go there.
Oh,
And so I thought I would talk to you about that. Here's me putting you on the spot on the air, girl. We'll talk about that. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. But
okay.
it I'm always amazed, and I tell you all the time, I can't believe you live there. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
No,
come, get warm, come to me.
I.
And I'm freezing right now,
Oh yeah,
right? I am freezing to pieces down here.
yeah.
But I can't imagine the things that people have to live through. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's why we drink mimosas and stay lit during, we put the nog in our eggnog, and so,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what my grandpa always said. Did you put the nog in my eggnog? And I'm like, yes, sir, I did. So I was much too young to be putting the nog in the eggnog. So he was really happy because it was about half and half.
Ah,
But because I couldn't imagine drinking eggnog anyway.
yeah.
It's just like,
Uh, it just
no,
depends, you know.
pay no attention to that. But I mean, there's hot chocolate for God's sake. Why are you
Well,
drinking
that's true.
eggnog?
You do have a point.
Because
Yes,
you can put liquor in eggnog. That's why they drank the eggnog.
that's why they
They had
drink.
their own antifreeze.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it really is being acclimated to it too, if that's all you've ever known.
Yeah.
And because these people were not nomadic, really,
Mm-hmm.
none of the people that we're discussing, they may move from north to south on their island,
Yeah.
but they're not really nomadic. The Scots didn't go out and try to conquer people. The
Nope.
Scots defended their territory and kept the adventurers away from them
Mm-hmm.
as
Yep.
best they could.
As best they could, and they did a pretty good job.
Ran the Vikings off. That's pretty badass.
Pretty badass.
So I do want to tell people that we are now on the Dark Realm TV app on Roku. So you can go and find us there. But it's pretty fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many good shows there,
Yeah.
and you're just gonna be blown away by everything that you see.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're on.
um sure beats east of Cleveland. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Lori can attest to that more
Oh,
than I can. I've only been there when it was cool, not cold. But
well, and yes, that's where I'm from.
yeah.
Yeah, and we do get some snow. We've got some snow squalls comes across, but we're not in the snow belt. That's Cleveland, Chicago, that way north up that
Lake
way.
effect.
Yeah, the
Lake
lake.
effect snow.
Oh, no thanks. We do get some bands once in a while, but not very often. But we do get them. Ugh.
You mainly get cold.
Yeah, we get, yeah,
I don't like cold.
it's cold. I mean, I think the wind chill today was, when I got up this morning, was like -2. So, yeah, don't like it. Don't like it.
Can you see chat?
Yeah, I'm 20 miles west of Toledo. You get warmer weather than I do. Yeah, no kidding. You're too far north. You're almost to Michigan. No thanks. I lived in Michigan for 9 months. That was long enough. The
Oh
first
no.
spring there was 12 inches of snow.
Yeah, I have friends that live in Michigan that are like, come see us. And I'm like,
Oh,
nope.
nope.
I have a story. Do you want a
Oh,
story?
yeah.
Well, this is it's not the full story, but I'm gonna share what I've got.
Okay.
And Christmas croquet and hallucinations. What's not to love, right?
True.
And so, well, let's say for a moment that it was not a dream exactly, but a hallucination. Whatever it was, in any case, it haunted me for months. Months, I think. It was never quite out of my mind, but lingered somewhere in the dusk of consciousness, sometimes sleeping quietly, so to speak, but sometimes stirring in its sleep. It was no good my telling myself I was disquieting myself in vain, for it was as if something had actually entered my very soul, as if some seed of horror had been planted there. And as the weeks went on, the seed began to sprout, so that I could no longer even tell myself that that vision had been a moment's disorderment only. I can't say that it actually affected my health. I did not, as far as I know, sleep or eat sufficiently, but morning after morning, I used to wake, not gradually, but through pleasant dozings into full consciousness with an absolute suddenness and find myself plunged into the abyss of despair. Well, and this is from somebody who saw ghosts and demons, but was absolutely sure there was no way it could be. And
Wow.
this is from Between the Lights by E.F. Benson, and that was from 1912.
Wow.
Stephen King had some good people to follow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could have been written by King.
Oh, yeah.
And these are just Christmas stories.
I,
Holy whoa.
I know. It was,
I
I'm not sure. I don't know why they enjoyed that stuff. I guess they'd like to get the living daylight scared out of them, you know.
yeah.
Um, Now it's all joy and happiness and, you know, find all the beautiful lights and all the, you know, joy to the world type thing. But
If you're here.
yeah, but they farther back in time, they were really into the scaring the bejesus out of you.
They really were.
Really.
And, you know, I am just always, always surprised because A Christmas Carol was from 1843.
Mm-hmm.
1843.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's made it through all those years, and it resonates with everybody. Seriously.
I think that we all have a bit of Scrooge in us.
Mm-hmm.
We're so centered on what matters to us and on what we can get.
Yep. And
And
don't.
I don't care how much you try not to,
Mm-hmm.
that part is still there. And
Mm-hmm.
I find that really it's a sad state on humanity, but it's a continuous and almost universal state of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, the that's why the story has been um, put different spins on it, but it's all the same thing. it's the moral of the story type thing.
Like Aesop's fables.
Yeah. I mean, they may put a different spin on it, but it's basically the same. They're telling you the same thing, just in a different type of story.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
the Brothers Grimm was actually this genre of writing.
mm-hmm,
And, to me, that is so bizarre
mm-hmm.
because those stories still scare me
Yeah.
because you know what a wuss I am. I don't watch horror movies, although my best guy friend has been in like 72 films and a lot of those were horror.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen them. Did
I
see him in not Naked, Airplane. One and
I
a half,
wa-
was it?
I watched him. I watched the one that I recognized him in, and I watched him get sawed in half.
No. I had to put that picture in his promo that I made for him, and
Oh,
I was like, "What are you doing?"
yeah. I uh,
He
I
thinks it's weird that I haven't ever seen those.
I I I made myself watch it just to say I did. He did send me some clips of him ripping somebody's teeth out, and I couldn't watch that one. Yeah, that was
No.
rough. But yeah, I saw him fall down the stairs when he was a stuntman. Yeah, it's
And then North Carolina, those are some bad stairs too. Any kind of a ship like that is going to be,
and diving
uh
off someplace. He was like flying through the air type thing. I said,
I
no.
love that. That was my favorite shot that he has made,
Yeah.
and it looked just like hi, April. I thought it was just like a place that I had lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which
Oh,
had one of those stovepipes. Where am I
oh,
going?
yeah,
The
yeah.
great big pipes that you could climb up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was it was something.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that picture, I'm like, "Where were you?" Because that looks really familiar to me. It wasn't, but
No, he sent me some clips that he says, you got to watch this. And I watched, I went, nope, nope,
he
you ain't
doesn't
got,
even send them to me.
he,
And I'm
he,
not gonna say his name because he said something on Facebook the other day that even when he's not on my show, he's on my show, Rick McCollum.
yeah, Rick McCall.
So, I'll give him that.
Yeah,
So, he's coming on with me toward the end of the month. That'll be fun.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm trying to get him in for his birthday.
that's right. It is coming up, isn't it? Oh,
It
gosh.
is. Now, I am just so blown away by, they talk about all these things being made into movies, right?
Mm,
All these um, different horror, Christmas horror.
yeah,
It's what it is, people, is horror stories. But uh, but I am so amazed that anybody lived through the Victorian era anyway. So, April,
yeah,
we are talking about different hauntings relevant to Christmas and different stories relevant to those. And we've been talking about how the experience of Christmas and celebrating Yule before Christmas
mm-hmm,
was actually universally across Northern Europe
mm-hmm,
and, well, really Southern because you got down into Italy.
mm-hmm,
So, but I think primarily with the Yule, it was more of because they would hoist a tree
yeah,
in, and as
mm-hmm,
it burned down, they would just push it on into the fireplace,
right.
which to me was very intelligent, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, you keep,
because consistent.
yeah,
So, hello, Raymond. But I am just so I'm shaken really as I was researching this stuff by the macabre nature of all of them.
mm-hmm.
Nothing was, and they all got their presents and they did this and they had their Christmas dinner and then everyone went out caroling that afternoon.
Oh,
None of them consisted of that. I was so blown away. I
yeah,
mean,
they were into the macabre, that's for sure.
And that's universal across Northern Europe. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, it just is not.
Yeah, it was.
It is not this guy, okay? We're not talking they had this guy.
Hmm.
This was the evil, wicked, mean, and nasty.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that's basically what it was. It was like, wow, you know, I just I was surprised, you know. I'm not sad that that went away, you know.
you don't want Krampus coming to steal the children?
I don't need them stealing the children, beating them, and eating them. No,
No.
no. That
Well, that kicks back over to Hansel and Gretel with eating children.
eating
I
children.
mean, the whole genre, this whole period,
Mm-hmm,
not just the genre, but the whole period.
mm-hmm. Sometimes it feels like they hate the kids. I mean, they hate them. You know, they scare the bejesus out of them, and it's like, if you're not good, this is what's going to happen, type thing. It's like, do you hate your children, or you just this is
Maybe
the
you just can't control them, so that you're putting something in place that will help with that.
maybe I
We
don't
see
know.
a lot of that happen like now with disconnected parents and
Oh yeah,
people that have no interest really in
yeah,
being responsible adults in their home.
yeah, yeah.
But well, we actually have a comment here by Mark that says, your Christmas wants change as you get older. Society is also so much different than even 50 years ago, so much disconnect with the video generation.
Yeah,
And that's true
that's
because if I go to either of my grandchildren's homes, I'm I'm competing with screens to have time with them.
mm-hmm.
And my oldest grandson still likes FaceTime with me, like face to face.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And but the others, it's really interesting because I guess they got their screens so much younger
Oh,
and because he's a little older.
mm-hmm.
But it's still, I mean, he's still all about screens too, but
Mm-hmm.
he will put them down just to talk with me.
Yeah, my four grandsons, um, they have screen time all the time, but um, their their parents do make them do things other than sit
Oh,
there and
sure. I mean, these
they
do too, but that's almost like it's their priority is to get that time.
yeah, they do a lot of things. And the youngest, Jack,
Hmm. I do know Jack.
he's he's Mr. Christmas time, and he's into monsters now.
Yes.
So we all he wants is some kind of play, like clay, Play-Doh clay, and he wants his, pipe cleaners so he can, and googly eyes and stuff.
He's been a googly eye guy for a while.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
likes creating his monsters. So he draws them, and he wants to, create them like a 3D with the
Hmm.
pipe cleaners and stuff. And the
You
other,
should get him kinetic sand. That stuff's fun.
yeah, that stuff is fun, but it gets everywhere. So yeah, I do things, but parents approve.
Well, that's because you get to go home. I
Mm-hmm,
also get to come home.
mm-hmm.
And in fact, I have been talking with Mr. Producer here, Mr. Carl, about lasers
Oh yeah.
and, getting one to, well, getting two. And I'm like, I can't put that in their house. Yeah, their parents are like huge veto. But so I just think it's so interesting the difference in society
Mm-hmm.
because my generation, we didn't have screens, we had outside.
Yes.
And if the street lights came on and I wasn't home,
Mm-hmm.
then there would be some serious discussions.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got.
And then, and that's when I was old enough to go to the pool by myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when I was little, I was never, you know, my
Yeah.
poor mother had to take me when she went to have lunch with her bridge group, or if she went to go play bridge, or,
Hmm.
you know, she taught me how to play gin when I was about 3, so that she could go,
Right.
when I went to go do my swimming lessons, she would sit by the pool, and then when we got through, we would do, gin.
Yeah.
So, because I couldn't play bridge. I still can't play bridge. And Mark says, speaking of sand, currently Amazon has an awesome Hoover carpet shampooer half off. Why,
Oh,
thank you. Thank you, Mark.
that's good to know.
I love doing promos for Amazon. Send me
Yeah.
some stuff, dudes. Come on. But David David shudders every time his phone dings.
Hmm.
But it's a good form. It's that time of
Well,
year.
Alex wants to get a chemistry set to grow crystals. So I found, I think I can't remember, Discovery or something had a crystal kit that he can grow crystals. And AJ wanted Legos, so I ended up doing the STEM project of
I love STEM.
and he can build the. There's different versions he can build, but it's solar powered. He can run it around. It'll have power through the sun. He'll be able to use it that way instead of the Legos. So something different. He likes to build things. AJ
Yeah.
does. I said that's fine. I mean, I found one. And then I got splatter balls. You know, they're really gross, but they splatter. One was
Oh, okay.
all. One was an eyeball. One was a brain. One was a pig, and one was a tomato.
Is
So,
that what comes out of them when they splatter?
well, they just like when you throw them, and they just look like they splatter, and then they go right back together.
That's wicked cool.
Yeah, I found it at Walmart. I was
You know,
looking for.
you could really have some fun with that tomato.
Oh yeah,
You
because you
could
could.
trip people out.
Parents are probably Katie and Chrissy will probably hate me, but they'll
They'll get
throw it,
over it.
throw it, throw it.
You get to go home.
Yeah. See ya.
Yep. You know, it is it is so much fun to sit there. I don't know about you, but I was sitting there going through these stories, and I'm like, well, I could tell these stories
Yeah.
at the Christmas dinner. But
Yes.
it is it really blew my mind how far back these stories went.
Mm-hmm.
When I I just couldn't believe it. And one of the articles I found was by Colin Dickey, and it's called "A Plea to Resurrect the Christmas Tradition of Telling Ghost Stories."
Oh.
And I am I didn't know that it
Mm-hmm.
was traditional.
I
I mean,
didn't.
I didn't know that this is what people did
They sat around and told ghost stories.
for their holiday.
Wow.
For their holiday. I mean,
Okay.
that's why the Christmas Carol was written, because you know, it was just part of it. Well, heck, and the what was that? In the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, the theme song for that movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it says there'll be scary ghost stories and
Oh yeah.
tales from Christmases long ago. Well, yeah, scary ghost stories.
Yeah.
And that's just like, I've watched that movie, I don't know how many times. I've heard the song
Mm-hmm.
millions, has to be millions of times over time. I'm 63. That's a lot of Christmases that I've heard that song.
Yes.
And I never knew that telling, scary ghost stories was what they
Part.
were talking. I know, April, me either. And, it's just so bizarre that it's almost like hidden here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we all, you know, Bill Murray and Scrooge was just absolutely a
Oh,
riot.
oh yeah.
But that's still the same story.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
just because it was a comedian playing the character didn't really do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And it's really wild because when they did that, it was like they did a really good job
Yeah.
of making Marley be hideous.
Yeah.
And that was in the old versions.
Mm-hmm.
In the old versions, he was a hideous spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind that if I ever came up across that,
Mm-hmm.
I would stay long enough to get my evidence and I would be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Done. I'm done here. Thank you. It's like the person that you murdered that was just kept on
Yeah.
going. I still can't believe that, we've traveled the world and I come to find out on our last trip you're a murderess. That's just hilarious. But but can you
That's,
imagine can you imagine the people at Bannockburn, at Mingus, at Menzies, at Sterling? I mean,
yeah.
all of the all of the stories being told around those pits, and then when you get up, like we've been talking a lot about Orkney, which
Mm-hmm.
is so far up that
Oh yeah.
my friend the haunted explorer is like, I don't think you can get there. You have to take a couple of ferries. It's going to take you a week just to get there.
Oh my.
And, you know,
Yeah.
but that is ancient. That's
Eight.
older than Stonehenge.
Yeah.
That
That
is like
where they.
so
Yeah. It's
and
ancient.
that would have been the first land of Scotland that the Vikings came to
Mm-hmm.
because it's just right there. It's so far north.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get told that you absolutely don't want to do this, Kat, when it's winter.
Well,
You will have to be in the heat of the summer.
yeah.
So,
I
but
mean, think about it. You know.
I did. It was a quick no. And when Greg Stewart is like, "Ah, lass, och, lass," no,
No.
that's huge. And I do listen to Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
So
I have great respect for him.
yes, and he has a few haunting tales,
Oh yes. Wow.
and one of the ones that when I told him that I was going to be doing ghost stories, and he was like, "Well, you're welcome to, because I have haunted Perth." So
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "Oh, go ahead." And I was like, "Well, which one is your favorite?" The man has written, guys, 22 books,
Yep.
and they're all about haunted Scotland. And in fact, he's been on Haunted Scotland, if you count that on Discovery Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ryan O'Neill and Gregor Stewart are two of our friends who are who are the founders of Scottish Paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan is a principal on Haunted Scotland, and Gregor is on fairly often too.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I am going to get with our friend Linda at Culrus and see if there are any haunted stories there. And we can share those later for next year.
Yeah.
But, that is a place that was actually a thriving village.
Yeah.
It was.
It was.
And the witch trials didn't really stop that. The
Mm-hmm.
highways stopped it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because you could go into Edinburgh in about 15 minutes to get everything you wanted now.
Mm-hmm.
But the same really with Roslyn. But it's really interesting to me that these bedroom communities are so interesting.
Oh yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
their history. I mean, that village there hasn't changed. I mean,
Colress has not changed at all.
mm-mm. They're it's original buildings, original. I mean, they've remodeled the inside of some of them, make it a little more modern, like the coffee shops and some of the restaurants. But overall, it's original. I mean, back what in the 16th, 17th centuries? I mean,
16th.
16th centuries. Well, the what was up on the top, that church up there?
The Abbey.
The Abbey was built in the 12th century, the same year that Balgoni was built.
Yes.
So, you know, that.
And it has actual people buried under their carved out. It's
Mhm,
like a sarcophagus.
mhm. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, the that whole, I mean, if you want to step back in time, that's the place to go.
Yes.
I mean, it's there was Cat's Close there.
There was.
Yes, there was. And the gardens that they had there. And it was really,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
the house with eyes.
yeah, the the evil eye. I did take a.
That was hilarious.
Gregor, Gregor brought that up to me. He said, "Did you see the house with the evil eyes?" No. Oh, you got to go
I
get.
didn't find them evil. And they actually had just been repaired.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the Abbey's cemetery
Oh,
was astounding. And
yes.
I do not disrespect cemeteries. I do not disrespect the dead. I would never do that.
Mm-mm.
But to walk through there and to see the dates and
It's.
when we were in the Abbey,
Mm-hmm.
I was so taken aback because, the Scottish churches have the great big round, there we go, great big like round
Mm-hmm.
sermon areas where the ministers stand.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were at Greyfriars Kirk, that struck me too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I did not realize that the king of that period or the laird of that period
Yeah.
was actually buried with his wife in a sarcophagus that had their image
Oh yeah.
carved on
It-
it. Remember that? And their
yeah.
actual bodies were in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the children, the daughters, were also there.
Mm-hmm.
And those were people of privilege. I wonder what their Christmases would have been like if there were Christmases in the 1200s. It's just kind of
I don't know.
it's just it's a different culture.
Yeah.
Absolutely a different culture now.
Mm-hmm.
And has been obviously. But I mean, we're so different from them anyway.
Oh yeah.
We're so commercial based,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and in fact, Lynn Knight is going to be coming on with me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really excited to host her because that's somebody who is, her business is history and horror, of,
Mm-hmm.
history and horror tours.
Mm-hmm.
And she is good on history.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband, Gary,
Yeah, I was gonna say Gabe
who,
a lot too.
yeah, that's who did our Haunted Perth tour.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. They did a
But
good.
I think that there's just so many different ways that this is celebrated, and there's so much macabre stuff celebrating part of that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to share I'm going to share part of this, and then I'll come back and finish it.
Okay.
But the story of the Mistletoe Bride, this is the one that hasn't been made into a movie yet. I'm
Oh.
sure it will be soon. But it's a true life ghost story that's been a staple in England for generations and a must have if you're going to have um, a list, really, for Christmas ghost stories.
Okay.
But, and just like when people tell experiences, it evolves,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Kind of like the tin can thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's believed that the original story spawned from a tragic death in Bramshill, house in Hampshire. So, and it goes that Lord Lovat and his bride to be were set to wed around Christmas, bringing parties from both families to Lavelle's estate in Hampshire. There, while hanging mistletoe throughout the house, the families came up with a wedding party game to help pass the time because no TV or
Right.
MTV. So the rules were simple. Lord Lavelle's young bride was to hide somewhere in the enormous mansion while the groomsmen set out to try and find her. Whoever located her first would be crowned the winner and awarded with a playful kiss under the mistletoe. What started off as all fun and games quickly turned sour once the minutes slipped into hours and no sign of the bride could be found.
Ooh.
Unbelievably, months went by, followed by years, without any answers. Lavelle, heartbroken, was eventually forced to move on. Now, if that was today, it would have been aliens. Right? So,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't even know if anybody contemplated aliens back then.
Oh, I doubt it.
Oh, I don't. You can still see stuff. You probably see more stuff in the sky then.
Yeah. Eh,
You'd see something that you knew wasn't, you know,
normal. Hmm.
yeah. And they didn't have planes, so there wasn't any flying objects to confuse it with.
Right.
So I believe that I have just the person to ask that question of, and we're going to do that because I want to know now. When was the first reported sighting of a UFO in the history of man?
Hmm.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be another show.
That's true.
But, it's really wild because I can't remember what year this is. I think this is 1700s coming out.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So, all these people, they're going through this house. They can't find her. Ostensibly, you would think they've gone through every room in the house,
Hmm.
looked in, especially the man that was marrying her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this is his house,
You would
and
think.
and nobody can find her. And this is
She walked through a portal.
well, that's what you would think,
Mhm.
right? I mean, all the things that we would just say now,
Yeah.
you know, and so it wasn't until 50 years have gone by. Nobody has looked hard enough to find this woman in this house, right? So, as Lavelle's grandchildren played a game of hide and seek themselves, okay?
Okay.
So, they stumbled upon a secret closet in an upstairs room. There they found an old wooden chest, sealed shut, with the bride to be trapped inside, or at least what was left of her. So,
Wow.
hello,
Hello.
right?
That's
Of
weird.
course, the poor lost girl is still seen at Bramshill House around Christmas, moving through the halls at night and calling out for someone, anyone, to find her. I can't even fathom. Um,
That's really bizarre.
and so, but every year as the holiday season slips away, so does any trace of the mistletoe bride. And this may not boast the happy ending many of us are accustomed to around the season of giving,
You think?
but it will nonetheless keep your friends and family on the edge of their seats until Christmas morning. I mean, that's just so wicked, right? 50 years this poor woman has been buried alive, or somebody. I mean,
If,
absolutely somebody did that
if the
because
was sealed, yeah,
sealed. It was sealed.
yeah. If it was,
And
they had to have done it.
somebody did, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm curious. I am curious as to how long he waited before before he got married.
Yeah.
So because it's like, and finally he you know
Moved forward. Well, how long
moved forward. Well,
did you have
he
something on the side just for
was
Matt?
somebody. Was it like well, I'm not going to go there because that's the current England situation.
Yeah.
But, you know, was that, I don't know. It's just so weird.
Yeah.
I,
I don't know. That's just bizarre. Because I'm thinking, if that'd been me, I'd be beating on everything to make as much noise as I possibly could.
period.
Yeah. To,
I mean, with no hesitation.
yeah.
I
And,
would die before I would be left in there forever and ever and ever.
yeah. Same here. I'm I'm too hard headed for that. It's like, nah,
I
leaving it.
got too big a mouth for that.
Yeah. Same here. Nope.
Well, there's another one, and this is from 1861,
Mm,
and it's Bring Me a Light by Jane Margaret Hooper.
hmm.
Okay. And it says, Snow White's stepmother's got nothing on the vengeful Lady Henrietta. The story details how her evil deeds poisoned her family home for generations. She paced to and fro, turning and returning with savage, stealthy quickness. The day waned and night began. Her servant came to see if she was wanted and was sent away with a haughty negative. She is busy with some wicked thought, murmured the woman. Yeah, because that lady killed all of her family that night.
Wow.
Yes, right?
Wow. That's weird.
So I
1800s?
am, that was 1861.
Oh, gee, wow. And they told stories like that around the fire with family.
They did.
Family
Here's
time.
one from 1868.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay.
And these are just a synopsis. Okay. Because if I read the whole story, we would be here forever.
Right.
Oh, Lori, April and Chad, April.
Yeah.
But she says she's had some interesting things today that have made her think something is trying to tell her something. Sorry, just sharing. April, you should never apologize for sharing. You've
Oh.
been in my chat for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad to see you. I
Yeah.
hope it's not something that's making you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I hope that you get the message soon. But
And you can figure it out.
she will. She's really good at that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And this is The Ghost Summons, and this was by Ada Desan in 1868.
Okay.
And that's just the working name.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know that this was ever actually published.
Okay.
But this was just about a doctor that's hired to witness a man's final hours, right?
Okay.
And he's asked, "Would you be willing to earn £1,000?" £1,000? His words seemed to burn my very ears. I should be thankful if I could do so honestly, I replied with dignity. What is the service required of me? And a peculiar look of intense horror passed over the white face before me, but the blue-black lips firmly answered firmly to attend a deathbed. So either he knew that he was fixing to be gone. I
That's
think that basically it's he was already dead. I mean,
great. Blue black
but
lip. Hello.
yeah, hello.
Yeah.
And
Because
this is another one of those. I don't know. Okay. It's
oh no.
called The Dead. This is by James Joyce, the author James Joyce in 1914.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And it's called The Dead. And this is not really, like I said, this is a synopsis. This is not the whole story.
Right.
But though technically no ghosts really appear in this one, the story is haunted by the memory of a young man that's long since died.
Oh.
But it said, a few light taps upon the pane made him turn to the window. It had begun to snow again. He watched sleepily the flakes, silver and dark, falling obliquely against the lamplight. The time had come for him to set out on his journey westward. Yes, the newspapers were right. Snow was general all over Ireland. It was falling on every part of the dark central plain, on the treeless hills, falling softly upon the bog of Allen, and farther westward, falling softly into the dark, mutinous Shannon waves. It was falling, too, upon every part of the lonely churchyard on the hill where Michael Fury lay buried. It thickly drifted on the crooked crosses and headstones, on the spears of the little gate, on the barren thorns. His soul swooned slowly as he heard the snow falling faintly through the universe, and faintly falling like the descent of their last end upon all the living and the dead. That's kind of a macabre viewpoint, right?
That's
So
kind of depressing.
I know, right? It's not
Wow.
really my idea of a good time.
No, that isn't a page turner for me.
Well, I find the prose is pretty good, but it's just really,
Sad.
yeah. And this is again just a brief part of a spooky story about Christmas. It's called Dark Christmas.
Okay.
And this is by Jeanette Winterson, and this is from 2013.
Oh.
And it says, in this contemporary tale, an idyllic Christmas vacation is troubled by the appearance of a manger and footsteps in an empty attic. We are lucky, even the worst of us, because daylight comes. It was a brooding day, that 21st of December, the shortest day of the year. Coffee, coat on, car keys. Shouldn't I just check the attic? The second set of stairs was narrow, a servant staircase. It led to a lath and plaster corridor, barely a shoulder width wide. I started coughing. Breathing was difficult. Damp had dropped the plaster in thick, crumbling heaps on the floorboards. As below, there were 3 doors. 2 were closed. The door to the room above my room was ajar. I made myself go forward. And that is where they found the manger. There was a manger that no one recognized or owned, and she was interested in that it was the room above her room because she had been hearing footsteps
Wow.
for nights, for weeks.
Wow.
So, you know, it's just people get so, I don't know, stuff like that kind of blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you already have your keys in your hand. You know you're out the door. You know you're not staying in that house again that night.
Nope.
And yet, we're going to
Like to go upstairs and see what the footsteps are.
yeah.
Nope.
You know, my friend Nick had me and Denise and several other people narrated chapters of his, scary stories in the dark.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny because this particular column, it was cool. It says, while telling ghost stories in the dark of the year has been popular for centuries, Christmas ghost stories were wildly popular in Victorian England, especially in periodicals and as part of oral tradition. It talks about Dickens' classic work was by no means the only ghost story, although it was perhaps the most sentimental and therefore lasting. But ghost stories appeared all over the place, some much better than others, of course, but all intending to inspire at least a small shiver.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Dickens, besides writing that, he was also an editor of Christmas ghost stories. He believes that Christmas Eve is the witching time for storytelling and frequently included ghost stories in the magazines he edited. Interestingly, women contributed a huge portion of these Christmas ghost stories.
Wow.
It's been estimated that as much as 50 to 70% were written by women.
Wow.
So, and I'm going to share this paragraph too because I just found it so interesting. So why were the Victorians so obsessed with ghosties? And it wasn't just ghost stories. They had fads for holding seances, picnicking in ceremonies and cemeteries, and forming spiritualist and occult societies. Part of it was the development of a middle class. More leisure time and higher literacy means more people are reading. And part of it was that ghost stories offered fantasies of destabilization of the powerful at a time when the British Empire was at its height. And part of it is simply that the legends are powerful ways of dealing with anxiety and having fun. And they always have been.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
That's interesting.
yeah,
Wow.
that's April says, trying to make people behave better. Yes, because there's repercussions if you're a putz.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I thought this was such a fun topic.
Yeah, it's interesting because and how it's developed through the years, from the scaring the living daylights at everybody to the joy and happiness that is out there now. Well,
You don't have enough witch friends.
no, I guess not.
But saying, no, I thought I had the name of the period again, the October period.
Mm-hmm.
I lost it.
I can't. It went bye-bye.
Yes. It'll come back as soon as we get off the air.
Probably.
That's what happens to me. Everything comes right back.
Oh gosh. Yeah, those things.
So,
but, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think it's kind of universal that people like to tell scary stories, really, and it seems like more, back in the day was more this time of year than any other time,
because they were working the other times, I think.
Yeah. This was their downtime, I guess. And so to have fun or, draw you close, or you shiver, and that type of thing, and they thought that was fun. That's what they're enjoying.
We ghost hunt. We think it's fun too.
But we don't scare.
We go looking for those little suckers.
Yeah, but we don't scare the bejeebers out of everybody. Well,
but there are a lot of people that live to get that.
Yeah.
Effect done to them.
Yeah.
I do not like jump scares, but a lot of people do.
I do not. Nope. Nope.
Well, you're like me. If somebody does that to you, it's like if they sneak up behind me, I'm like,
yeah.
And that's never good for the person behind me.
Yeah, I punched a deputy in the nose for doing that to me.
Yeah.
Yep. He jumped out of the shrubs right in my face, and
oh my gosh, I would have bopped him.
I did.
Right in the face.
I did.
It is good.
I did. And he
said did you break his nose?
No, didn't break his nose.
Damn, should have broke his nose.
Was shocked. He had a shock look on his face.
Well, you don't do that to women.
No.
You don't do it to anybody.
Especially jumping out of a shrub when I was.
Yeah, because that's where people try to take you in there.
Mm-hmm. And I swung. Oh Lord, I swung. I made connection.
I chipped somebody's tooth doing that once.
Did you?
But I came uppercut.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, mine was right in the face.
I wonder what that looked like, seeing it coming right at your face. Anthony Lewis says winter months give time to catch up. That's absolutely true.
That's true.
So people are sharing tales and maybe sharing something they experienced, or at least wish that they had, so they wrote the story.
Yeah, that's a good conclusion. Because back, it isn't like it is now. I mean, back then everybody just shut down.
Yeah. He said there are ghosts that love to scare people, and that's true. And I try not to let them affect me but I have had somebody just be right in my ear saying my name before.
Oh, really?
In a room that I was by myself in.
Ooh.
And that was just kind of like, Because I turned around, I was like, really? Really?
Well,
Nope.
disembodied voices like that, yeah, it can be startling. I've had that happen. Not too often, but I've had it happen. And it is rather disconcerting sometimes.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have broken away, like you're doing your own thing in an area,
Hmm.
you know, because if I'm in a group and I do that, I feel safe because
Hmm.
somebody will hear me if something were to go awry.
Hmm.
They did
Hmm.
because yeah, and it was like, phew,
Hmm.
cat, there's
Right.
nobody there.
There's
That
no.
was the one that, you know,
Hmm.
and I've been in a residential investigation where I was standing with my back to a closet.
Ooh,
I don't do that anymore.
no.
But this next time we do an evidence review, I'll pull that up
Okay.
because it was interesting. And of course, I got the B word,
Yeah.
and it. I don't. I am nice. I don't know why I get that all the time. They must know my alter ego,
Mm, well,
but
we all have that.
we do.
We do. We have that. Yeah. I had a disembodied voice. The first one I ever got, and it was a long time ago. It was like I'd been investigating for like a couple years, and I was at the family home that my dad grew up in when he was a kid. And Christy was beside me, my daughter. And luckily, I had my phone on, my recorder on my phone, and we heard a whisper. And Christy looked at me, and I looked at her. I said, "Did you hear that voice?" Christy goes, "I heard a voice," and I caught it. That was a
Get
first
out.
shot, and I don't know what I did with it. I looked through my phone. I didn't have it, but I had to play it several times to really catch it. And it says, "Who are you? Who are you?" And I didn't know that at the time
Right?
when I caught it. And for whatever reason, I explained. I just talked into the air. I said, you know, my dad, lived here when he was a child. I'm his daughter. This is his granddaughter. I'm family. This is,
Yeah.
yeah. And when I caught that, I went, wow. That
Big
because that
time.
one I'd ever caught. And Christy and I both heard it, but we couldn't distinguish until I kept playing it back. And it says, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know I still have the recorder that has my first EVP on it?
Do you really?
I really do.
Wow.
And I was so excited because, you know, it's so cool when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just gotten a digital video recorder.
Mm-hmm.
And so and the recorder I was using did not have a download thing. It was just one of the old
Yeah.
dictaphone kind of things.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know. I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to get my camera to work, and we had gone up to somebody's house in North Alabama that was having problems, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so we're going through, and I'm scared to mess with my recorder much because I didn't want to erase anything, or
Right.
but
Right.
I thought, well, everybody else, I don't smoke, so everybody else had gone to go sit down and smoke,
Mm-hmm.
and so in their carport, and so I was standing up on the driveway, and I thought, well, I'm just going to listen to it. So I was playing it loud, not through earbuds.
Yeah.
And so it's right as you can hear me fiddling with my camera and whatever, and finally
Mm.
I got it going. And so the EVP said, "So are we recording yet?"
Oh, you're kidding.
And it was a man's voice, and it was just like when you're standing beside me, right?
Oh.
And we were only women there because the husband had gone to work. And it
Oh.
was the woman that lived in the house and her friend and my friend that had gone up there with me from my team
Mm-hmm.
and me. We were
Wow.
it. And so when I played it, all of them turned around and looked at me. And they were like, "Who said that?" I'm like, "It's on my recorder."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Play it again." I was like, "Okay." You know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's that recorder is actually in
It's
my kitchen drawer
it's starting
because,
when you get it, and when you figure out what they say,
well,
it's like,
there was no hesitation. I mean, it was obvious what he said.
yeah.
It was just like you and I talking right now.
Wow.
And from that point on, well, hell, we spent 3 weeks in Scotland. It's been a hot minute since that first time, but gee whiz.
Mhm.
Say that about a lot of stuff, but that's true. I
Mhm.
mean, I was so I was just
Yeah.
because I would hear these things,
Yeah.
but there was never a way to let people know that I'm
Mhm.
being told this,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And so here I am, and I think that's why we do this.
Mhm.
We want to know. Boy, that was weird. My head kind of did weird things. Have I found any items of any ghost at any ghost hunts? I have had things teleport. I feel like it's a teleportation, but I've had stuff show back up at my home from a ghost hunt before
Oh.
that was at the location, but I did not bring it home. So I've had that happen once,
Oh. Okay.
and um, it was a crystal kind of a stone
Oh, okay.
because I don't have red jasper because red jasper, you know, sounds stupid, but red jasper burns me.
Mhm.
Like somebody handed me one to hold, and I got a burn between my fingers, like through
Wow.
here.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, not touching that anymore. Thank you, though. And I think it might, in retrospect, it might have been the energy of that person, but
Oh, yeah.
because he was kind of kinetic himself. But yeah, so that's why I do not have red jasper because it hurts. So I just, and I've never wanted to hold it since then either. I
Well,
just don't have an interest.
we didn't do it. We didn't do an investigation, but at the beach house, other than thinking that somebody took the coffee pot.
Well, that's your fault because you gave me, y'all, she gave me in fact, I have some right here. It is the
No,
NyQuil.
8 p.m. Oh, that's
This
the
was the NyQuil melatonin. She gave me
melatonin.
2 of these bad boys and an Advil PM.
Yes.
So when
And
I woke up the next morning, I could not find the coffee pot for my Keurig. I was bombed off this cold medicine, the sleep medicine. Oh my gosh. We went to Walmart. You didn't know either because you were following my lead. We're in
I didn't
Walmart
know.
looking for a Keurig coffee pot.
Yeah, because
There's
I
no such thing.
yeah, and then
So,
but the one thing that did leave and then come back because I was getting aggravated was my toe separator
yeah.
that I had in my shoe. And I said, okay, guys,
Yes.
whoever's here, I have to have the toe separator because if not, I can't walk.
Yeah.
So I said, if you don't put it back in my shoe, then I'm going to have to have an overnight from Amazon because I said I can't do because we were doing 2 miles a day
Yeah.
by the beach, and my foot I can't do that. So evidently they were kind enough to put it back in my shoe because it was there when I looked back down.
Most
So
of my spirits are pretty nice.
yeah, I wasn't sure if they were just screwing with me or what they were doing,
I
but
think they were just letting you know they were there.
yeah, something because they, you know, They did it a couple times, and I just kept saying, "Okay, please bring it back. I have to have that, just because I have to have it." So they always brought it back. I didn't have to go call Amazon or get on Amazon and have any of the toe separators sent to me. So
But that would have been so aggravating.
oh,
Well, I mean, but that's people think that I'm crazy. That's the kind of stuff that happens around me all the time.
mm-hmm. Oh,
And yeah, it's just like my electronics are fully charged and then they're dead.
mm-hmm.
And that's why, and you can ask Carl when we get through. If I am doing my show, I have more than one computer sitting right here
Oh,
because if one goes down, the other one will start right back up.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I can just hop right back into StreamYard. And I have 2 Windows and 1 Mac sitting here.
Oh, okay.
So that, yeah, I'm ready if anything goes beyond.
Anything goes wacky.
Well, we almost had it happen with this show.
Mm-hmm.
My fully charged computer said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, hello, you have no battery. You're going to shut down." I'm like, "No, you're not." I may have to be loud for a minute, but no, you're not.
Oh, you're not.
And
Stop it.
it is so funny
Mm-hmm.
because I really, really get so annoyed with that. And all of these spirits around me are just like they were with your device. They'll just yank your chain.
Mm-hmm. Just to
And I'm
let you
like,
know that they're there. I think sometimes they just say, "Hey, I'm here. Hello.
yeah,
Talk to me or recognize me or
I think that's probably what it is that happens around here because um I don't generally do EVPs here
hmm
just because.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I have a friend that's been on the show before, well,
hmm
an acquaintance, but I consider her a friend.
hmm
And when I first started talking to her before she came on, and she was like, "Well, do you want a reading or do you want to book me for a show?" I said, "Well, kind of. I'd like to have both,
Yeah.
but not, just I don't want like a full reading. I just want information."
hmm
And I just was curious. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody around me, down to my dog Willow.
Wow. Okay.
And Willow has not been here for a very long time physically.
hmm
And Heather said that she's here all the time because
Wow.
I was her safe place. She
hmm
had 4 homes before she came here, and I was her only safe one.
Wow.
The vet went and took her back from the people because she was so abused.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, when I walked into where she was like, she leaned on me.
hmm
And my sister in law, who had been, housing her for the last 2 weeks,
hmm
said she's not sat still the whole time she's been here. She'll drop when she's exhausted, but that's it.
Wow.
And so, because when I walked in the door, they had 3 dogs or 2 dogs. And I heard Willow was a Spitz mix, so she was more of a howl.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, who do they have now?
Yeah.
And I walked in the door and I was like, "Oh, well, hello, pretty." And I went and sat down and she came and sat on the futon next to me and just leaned on me.
Oh,
And
wow.
my sister-in-law and brother-in-law looked at each other and Judy said, "That's your dog. She's going home with you." And I'm like, "Well, I really like being married to your brother." So, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
And so do it I did.
Yeah.
She was just the best dog.
Yeah.
And it was it was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
have that connection even with Wally.
well, yeah,
When you met Wally, I mean, it was pretty,
immediate.
yeah, pretty instantaneous. It was like,
Well, because he was so, and he's still, he's so nervous.
yeah.
And, but when I met him, because he was reacting nervous. I just squatted down by him and I looked him in the eye and said, I'm safe. I'm a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And he imprinted. It's just like in Twilight or something, like, woo, this is my human. And so
This is my
he,
human.
and he is a 55-pound dog, y'all. When he stands up, he is eyeball to eyeball with me. And I'm just like, I'm so glad you love me. Oh my God. And I am the dog lady, okay? I
Mm-hmm.
have cups that say dog mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be, it's going to be interesting when we're traveling again.
Yes.
But he loves David now too.
I was going to say, he's okay with David, isn't he?
He is, but David's kind of a dog dad too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all good.
Yeah. And that's good.
So,
That's good.
but he did say we can't stay 3 weeks again. He said that was just a little too long. We're
Uh,
not going to do that.
I was
So,
exhausted, that's for sure.
what?
I was exhausted. That's for
Well, yeah, but we're in better shape now.
Yes, we are. Much better shape. I did keep up better and I didn't have to have assistance and I did much better this time around.
You were
But
fantastic.
the back to back to back to back investigations for me.
When you're waking up in a hotel and you don't know what town you're in, it's time to start looking for something to rest with.
Yeah, it,
And
uh, yeah.
I actually had that happen. So, I was like,
Where are we?
where are we? You
Where,
know,
where did we go? I know we were on a train.
but have we ridden another train?
Yeah,
Wait.
wait,
Yeah.
where are we?
But, really and truly, um, it was perfect
Yeah.
because we had friends that came and got us and took us places. And
Hmm.
I mean,
They knew where they were
they
going.
knew where they were going. But the beauty was we got to spend 4 nights in one spot when we were in St. Andrews. And we got to stay in the dorms at St. Andrews, which was just brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
We we
Food and
the
breakfast
yeah,
downstairs was amazing.
yeah, because they kept the dorms kitchens open.
Hmm.
So so we got breakfast every morning.
And the people, the cooks down there were just delightful people. They were,
Everybody there was delightful.
yeah. And they, when they realized we were American and what are you doing here? And, all of the things. And it was just fun. It was so fun,
Yes.
so fun. And I got hooked into the porridge, which to me is okay.
Yes, she did.
But oh, it was so good.
It was so good. It's a great breakfast.
Hmm. Yep. Fruit and oh my gosh, they had sausage and eggs and
Pancakes,
pancakes
a
and
little of everything.
yeah, it was, and those,
And they had the Roly toasters.
yes.
That was cool.
Hmm. And it was,
And also, I did learn, and if word to the wise, if you're a coffee drinker and you
yes.
go to Scotland, and because they have machines in their restaurants that you can go and get your coffee out of. If you like cream in your coffee, get a cappuccino and just add sweetener because that's the only way you're going to get real cream in your coffee. They have terrible, terrible coffee,
Uh,
but not really. But the fun was that we would leave to go ghost hunt, and then we would come back,
hmm.
and we'd be in the dorm
Hmm.
looking out the window at the North Sea and St.
Yes.
Andrews Golf Course.
Hmm.
So, and the Ancient Memorials Club. I
Yeah.
mean,
It
you
was,
know,
oh my gosh.
oh,
It
April
never
said
dark either.
it never got dark.
Yeah. Nope.
Well, it's like right now it's not getting light.
Yes, the dark season.
There's not a halfway. So, but April says she's had her Fitbit drained. I've had my Apple Watch drains all
Wow.
the time.
Wow.
So, which is why I carry one of those little battery charger thingies with me now.
Hmm.
So,
Oh yeah.
But
I always had one of those too.
oh, and Anthony said the best one, and this is true because you and I have seen this happen when there's no battery power at all and it still runs and it still works.
Yeah.
That is a win. That is a big win. I
Yeah.
love that.
That
So,
that does happen.
yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
And then you get into little storage room looking places that are a museum, and every device is going wide freaking open. And the REM pod looks like the 4th of July.
That
that, that
that
was the best.
that was crazy.
That's the first time I'd ever seen. And throughout the whole video, you hear my fully charged battery on my phone. You hear my phone going, "Oop, battery drain." Doop,
Yeah.
doop,
And
doop.
everything was draining.
But my battery was not draining.
Mm-mm.
It
But
was fully charged, but it would not stay on.
your camera
So,
was shutting down.
yeah. And it was just like, and I'm like, oh, come on. We need footage of this. You
I
know?
had Mikey's camera was working.
Yeah. It's the only electronic device that did not go crazy.
Yeah, didn't completely drain out. No.
Yeah.
And the K2, I mean, it was pegged. I mean,
Yeah.
every
There were like 4 of them around the
Mm.
room, and everyone was on 5 lights.
Yep, everything was pegged. It was amazing. It was amazing. REM pod, everything, every
Yeah.
piece of electronics.
The best line of that whole time was Mikey. My REM pod don't do that, bro.
Remember that.
When he said that, I was just like, okay, I'm going to lose it right here. This is so funny.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It was,
but,
and when he finally caught on, when
yes. Oh my gosh. Rick McCollum was the slowest human on the planet that night. And I'm just like,
I want to talk to you, please go away. And I'm thinking, hello.
everybody was like, come on now.
Come on.
Keep up with us. Everyone here knows who that is.
Come on.
Think. Who could this be?
Yes. And who
And I mean, it was so funny. It was so funny. And, you know, it was just, I still don't know because somebody kept saying that Gregor had told her that there was a password that the Laird would have, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody ever listened for that.
I don't know if anybody had done, or I know several people had recorders, but I don't know if anybody ever caught it. I don't know. I don't know if they did.
I don't know either.
Because I had a K2, Rick had a K2, Julie had a K2, and that's all I had carrying on me. And then I set my equipment in the back.
Yeah.
All of that was going off, but I didn't have the recorder. I didn't set a recorder up because Mikey had it on his camera. He had all kinds of equipment. That rig had everything under the sun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was.
I guess I'm going to have to start building those again because I used to carry them, and I found myself being too distracted by the equipment and not living in the moment as it was happening.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite things is to have, I don't carry a big one like Mikey, but I usually have a recorder or a video camera,
oh yeah.
And then, I use night vision cameras. So, but then, and then lighting too, if I want to have that. But it's just so much easier. And Mikey is so brilliant anyway, and he's strong.
Oh yeah.
Because his rig could light up Manhattan.
Yeah. He had plenty of battery backup for everything that was.
And for all of us. Yeah.
And he's back.
We are almost out of time. We've got 5 minutes left.
Oh
Do you have anything that you wanted to share last?
The Ireland tour. I think we.
Yes, we do need to tell people about that. And it's next September, and it's through Secret Ireland Tours.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick McCollum is going to be leading us again.
Mm-hmm.
And September 1st through 15th,
No, ninth. First
9th, 1st
ninth.
through the 9th.
Mm-hmm. And we go from the northern up by the Giants Causeway clear through till south. I mean, we get to see all like Hellfires Club and several.
And there'll be investigations as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anybody's interested in investigating with us, us crazy
Yes.
people,
And our team,
yeah.
our crew.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mikey.
it's really going to be so much fun because, you know, if you, when I went to Scotland, that was my first time out of the country except for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really brilliant. It was so good. The tour sucked. We had, don't ever go on a mysterious adventure because you won't have one, except in the bad way. But you'll wind up in a hotel where nobody knows where you are in a foreign country with a
Mm-hmm.
roommate that's saying, "We've got to go now.
Fair.
We are out of here."
Word the hell
But
out.
and that was just
Yeah,
the most obvious thing. It was a bad tour.
it was
And I
all.
promoted that sucker. And I'm so sorry for everybody that listened to me.
Mm-hmm.
But and I could never endorse the tour again, but I will say that I can completely endorse Scotland.
Oh yeah.
And I feel that I'm going to be able to completely endorse um, this Ireland trip. I know the woman who is doing this one.
Yeah.
Her name is May Harrinan,
Mm-hmm.
and she is absolutely brilliant. And yes, I have had dealings with dolls.
Oh yeah.
A member of my team, um, Kevin Kane. You can find his books on Amazon, Cain Kane. And his first book was My Haunted Dolls. I think that was the first one, but he has two or three dolls from the Island of the Dolls.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I think he has three now.
Wow.
And Tammy was his haunted doll also, but his first one was Patty, and her book is called Patty Doll.
Oh
And so that's he actually has become quite a collector. He's brilliant. He has so many different items.
nope.
He took home a mirror from a residential that needed to be bound. The house where yeah,
Yeah.
I had all the weird stuff happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, just very cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
If anybody's interested in wanting to go on a ghost hunt with us,
yep,
the Secret
Secret
Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah. May
So
May does a good job.
yeah. And in fact, Chris Fleming was scheduled to be there, and he was
Mm-hmm.
having some health issues. So Dave Schrader, who is a wonderful human, filled
Mm-hmm.
in for him.
Yes.
And they're both wonderful men. But Dave Schrader is a stand-up dude, really. But anyway, Lori, we're out of time, my friend. We've
Wow.
got like
Bye.
not very many seconds left. So everybody, check us out, Dark Realm TV app, Roku,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be astounded by the shows. Absolutely astounded.
Yeah.
And just have fun with that. It's a subscription service, but it's not very expensive. And just go check it out. If it's something that rocks your socks, come join us there. And
Yes.
if not, that's okay too. We
Yeah.
just appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Lori, thank you for coming. And for everyone listening, you're the reason we do these shows. Y'all just stay with us and you'll get so much fun, so much information. We got great hosts. Good
Yes.
night.
Good night.
Merry Christmas.